Hey, the bushes. All right, we're gonna get right into it, baby. We ain't gonna keep playing. All right, child. Let me tell you something. Last night, ooh, hey Tracy, the ex stepson. Well, I wonder if he lied. Oh, I forgot to check and see if he lied. The ex stepson child has come forward, and oh, here, let me see. Ooh, and he live. Oh, hold on. Let's get over to the TikTok. Let me find him on the TikTok. Let's see what he got to say. I hate to do this though because I'm gonna tell y'all. Oh, I don't want to tell y'all why. But he is live. Let's see what he's talking about. Oh, okay. Let me rolling. Let me share my screen. Internet don't fail me now. Come on. Come on. This this damn gonna have me throw it out the window. Okay. What can I hear?
I know that he was stalking her, and he probably still is stalking her. I know that for a fact.
Tracy, if you didn't watch the live yesterday, it's too much to even tell you.
I mean, he had a job, man. Like he was able to pay bills because he had a normal job. You know what I'm saying? All the stuff that he told my mom about, that was before they got together. Like that was before they got together. So you get what I'm saying? So it's not like he was telling her what he was doing while they were together, and he wasn't doing that. That's not the case.
Hey, love to
I
Lonnie.
mean, not. I wouldn't say we was as close as whatever he's making it seem because we didn't like him. We didn't like him. Mother only, she just tolerated him. Be like, have you seen her video? She said she was broken at the time. You know what I'm saying? My mother was going through stuff. She didn't love herself, and he took advantage of that. He was just starting her like you want, like, you know what I'm saying, putting his hand in the face and like acting like he gonna do something to her. You know what I'm saying? Throwing like, I'll do this to you, I'll do that. I don't give a fuck about this. I don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? hmm I don't know what's going on with his knee. Yes, I have a sister. Yes, I talked to Risa. I talked to Risa. She thanked me for having her back. You know, and she apologized because she wasn't trying to put, anyone's business out there. So she apologized. So she put my mom's name out there, and I let her know that, it's not her fault if it's anyone's fault. It's my fault because I was the one that said something, came out and said something.
Okay, so I can we can keep watching him. I do have some of his recordings that he did yesterday. Or we could get back into business. We can hit number 27. Y'all gonna have to let me know what y'all want to do. Y'all want to keep listening to him answer questions, or do we? So the stepson is the one who popped him. Okay, so I can't see. That's why I'm like, part of me wants to keep playing it, but then I found out it's not who I thought it was. So okay, we're gonna go. We're gonna close it. We're gonna go ahead and get back to her, Teresa Tisa. And then I can explain who the stepson is a little better because we're not. Was the stepson mentioned? Yes, but it's more to it. Okay, let me see. Number 27, part 13, 12, 20. Why does this only show part 20? Okay, ladies, down here. 27. Okay, here. Wait, no, this is 27. No, I'm going the wrong way,
Part
y'all. Bear
29,
with me.
part
Okay, here we go.
part 27. Who the fuck did I marry? So here's where we are at, and here's what we can establish. Number one, I background check on the Social Security license. Nothing came back. I subsequently applied for another job. In that job, I had to fill out a background packet. The background packet asked for my spouse's name, date of birth, and his social security number. The social security number on the background packet for the new job did not match the social security number that he gave me for our marriage license. If you are confused, I believe it's in part 25 or part 26 that I explain that. So we can establish that I then ran a background check on the new social security number that was on my background packet. It came back with address, or excuse me, states that the social security number apparently had lived in. Those states were Georgia, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island. Okay. I decided, this is now around May 20th, I decided to do another background check. Um, and I paid to do another background check. This time, I did it with a different company, and not only did it give me the addresses, excuse me, not only did it give me the states, it gave me addresses, and it also gave me names of people who were like associated with Legion and that address. One of those names was his ex-wife. I've always known he's always told me the name of the ex-wife, but now I see it when I ran his background. I did a search for her on social media. She was not there. So the address that it showed that she was associated with him, because remember his story is we got married in San Diego, we lived in San Diego, we divorced in San Diego. Men lie, women lie. The US federal government with your social security number does not. So he's saying he was always in California. His social security number never showed that he was in California, according to the background check. It did show that he had lived in Georgia at an address associated with the ex wife. So, tried to find the ex wife, could not find her on social media. So, I looked in the metro counties to protect her identity. This, I am going to not divulge a lot on this part. I looked in the metro counties, in the open record courts. So typically, you can look in like Superior Court or Magistrate Court or Probate Court. So I looked in open records for the different counties, Metro Atlanta counties. Let me be clear, Metro Atlanta counties. And I looked under her name, and I found where they had filed for divorce in a Metro Atlanta county. So when he said that he filed for divorce in San Diego and that he was married in San Diego, I was able to find, no, according to the state of Georgia, you were married here. You were divorced here. So I looked under her name, found a record for divorce, and it did show his name. So now I clearly see on my computer that there is a Metro Atlanta County Court that has a divorce record in the state of Georgia between him and his ex-wife. So I did what any rational person would do, because this is still kind of COVID time. Well, not really. It had nothing to do with COVID. Let me take that back. Because of the parameters of the court, you can only do the open records request in person. I did what anybody would do. I told my boss I had to go. I grabbed my purse, grabbed my keys, and I drove to the court to do the open records request in person. The open records request was for the divorce documents. Go back in the series, and remember, I did a background on the ex-wife. I told you all exactly what was told to me. He met her in California. He married her in California. He divorced her in California because she cheated on him. He filed for divorce. She tried to get spousal support. It was going to be a little ugly. He was helping her with the kids. That was the story that was told to me. So, went to the court, filled out the paperwork, got the open records request for the divorce decree, for the divorce records. First thing I see, he didn't file, she did. Second thing I see, they didn't make it more than 6 months. I see the date of marriage. I see the date of dissolution, 6 months. Third thing I see, he was served in Metro Atlanta, which means that at the time of the divorce, he was living in Metro Atlanta. California was never mentioned. Fourth thing I see, he filed what is called a pauper affidavit. If you don't know what that is, I'm going to do my best to explain it real quick. Basically, he filed an affidavit with the court saying that he is so poor, he could not afford the fees to pay for a divorce. He couldn't afford a filing fee. He couldn't afford a service fee. That is what a pauper affidavit is for. All of this is in the divorce documents. She had filed. She said it was irreconcilable differences. She was not requesting any money whatsoever. And both of them had signed a pauper affidavit. He was served in Georgia at his previous employment. According to the divorce documents, he was served at like a grocery store. That is what was listed as his employer. And it had a date of when he was served. So I see all of this in one day. I also see where on the divorce documents, she listed her name, her address, and her phone number. So I did what any rational person would do. I wrote down the phone number. There was a 50-50 chance that the number was already disconnected. She could be like me. I'm one of those people, honey, you can sneeze at a 27-degree angle. I will change my number so quick, you ain't even know what hit you. You can talk to me at 5 o'clock, and at 5:05, my number has been changed. So she could have been like me, and the number is not even active. Or she could be like some people I know who have kept their numbers since kindergarten. Either way, I wrote the number down. I left the court and I immediately went back to work. And the same friend who helped me when I had my miscarriage, I told her, I was like, I got this phone number. This is the ex wife. She was like, girl, you better call. You better call and find out from her. Because can't no, I think she said to me, can't nobody tell you what is going on quite like the ex wife. So, part 28 is the phone call that I had with the ex wife. Part 27.
Okay, so here we are, part 27 going into part 28. So if you guys remember, oh, let me look at the okay, so he told her about the ex-wife from jump, pretty much from the beginning. And like she was saying, but he told her that he went to school in San Diego. He liked San Diego, so he stayed there. Wait, why was bushes? Why was I when I said wait? I was sitting here rubbing my hands just I was sitting here rubbing my hands just like that. I swear. Anyway, so he moved to San Diego to go to college. He liked San Diego. He stayed in San Diego, which is where he met his wife. His wife had two kids, a girl and a boy. If you remember a couple, just like maybe two or three back, the daughter passed away from COVID. He asked ReesaMTeesa if he could send her $2,000 to help for the funeral cost of the daughter. So this is the wife that she's talking about. In case for the new people that missed yesterday, um, but now it's come out that there were no. I'm not gonna say that they didn't get married in San Diego, but what she's saying is that they definitely lived in Georgia. They got their divorce in Georgia. So now she's like, well, what the fuck is really going on? Let me call this woman and find out. So here we go with part 28.
Part 26. Who the fuck did I marry? So I asked Legion, what's the deal about San Diego State? He was like, what are you talking about? Part 28 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So I had the phone number, went back to work. My really good friend was like, you better call her. You can use my phone, but call her. So I called her. She answered. Let me use aliases. And the conversation went like this. May I please speak with Barbara? This is Barbara. Barbara, this is Shirley. Shirley who? This is Shirley Jones. I am the wife of Legion. Silence. Then she starts laughing. And she said to me, and I quote, if you were calling me, then I know it's bad. I chuckle and I said to her, I'm not trying to bother you. I'm not trying to disrupt your life. I I said I am literally coming to you on some woman to woman shit. I said because you are probably the only person who can help. She listened. She was gracious. And she said, what is it that you need to know? Or what is it that you want to know? And I said, I understand that you and my husband talk and communicate. Um, and she immediately said, what? No, we don't. And I said, okay. Um, she said, one thing you need to know about Legion. She said, whatever he tells you, it is a lie. And she said, when he, again, let's go back to part one. I told you guys that when he introduced himself or when we met, we actually had matched on two different sites. And he was under two different names. One was like the actual birth name. The other one was a nickname variation of that name. That's the name I know him by. So, for example, if his name was Matthew, he had a profile under Matthew, and then he had a profile under Matt. I would have known him as Matt. So she said to me, she was like, I don't even know who Matt is. She was like, that's not even his name. And so I knew what his actual government name is. She was like, no one calls him Matt. She was like, that must be his new personality. Or she was cracking a joke, but she was like, anything he tells you, you need to know is a lie. So I just asked her, I said, what was your experience? I said, because I can tell you the story he told me. And she stopped me right there. She said, whatever he told you was a lie. She said, let me guess. He told you I cheated on him. Let me guess. He told you that I wanted money from him. And I said, yeah. And she said, yeah, that's a complete lie. So we had a conversation where she told me how they met. They didn't meet online or anything. I said, well, were you guys ever in California? She said, no. She's like, she was like, that man ain't never been from past the East Coast. So I said, okay. Um, so you guys have always been in Georgia? And she said, yeah. She's like, we got married in Georgia and we got divorced in Georgia. And that's when she asked me, how did you even get my number? She said, because I want nothing to do with him. So how did you get my number? And I said, I'm gonna tell you the truth. It ain't gonna make me look good. I told her, I said, this is what happened. And this is what led to me doing research. And this is how I got your number. And she laughed. She was like, wow. She was like, normally I would be freaked out. She said, but under the circumstances, she was like, wow, okay. Um, she said, yeah, if you're calling me, then it must have gotten pretty bad. She said, so what did he promise you? And we talked for about 30, 35 minutes. She asked me in that phone call, she said, look, I want nothing to do with him. I have not spoken to him since our divorce was finalized. She said, so I would just appreciate if you keep me out of whatever's going on with y'all. And I told her, I said, I give you my word, I will never tell him I spoke to you. I said, I give you my word. I said, this conversation is for me. It is not for me to use in any sort of legal litigation, nothing. This is for me. And I said, I don't plan to call you again. I don't plan to be a disruption in your life. I just needed to know, how bad is it? And she paused and she said, it's bad. She said, I don't know what all y'all got going on. She said, but if it's anything like what it was for me, it's bad. So we talked a little bit more. She was very encouraging. She was like, girl, do not blame yourself. She said, I went through that and I had blamed myself. She was like, this is not on us. This is on him. Um, she was like, he is a master liar, a master manipulator. She said, I ignored the red flags. So she was like, do not feel as though this is on you. We talked about there's an ex-girlfriend that shares the same name as his aunt. She and I talked about her. She said the reason why they broke up because the ex-girlfriend, I didn't know this, the ex-girlfriend had reached out to her about 6 months before he met me. And so The ex-girlfriend lives in lived in Douglasville. On Legion's driver's license, he had a Georgia driver's license with the Douglasville address. What he told me was that it was the address that his sister, because remember I told y'all his sister Shantae lives in Douglasville. She's a nurse, married with 2 kids. So he told me that the address on his license, it was his driver's license, was to Shantae's house. The ex-wife is telling me, no, that's the address for the girlfriend, the ex-girlfriend. He had moved in with her and he created this whole narrative with her. She found out um, that he was lying and she kicked him out. And so I guess after she kicked him out, she then reached out to the ex wife, kind of the way I did for confirmation. And so the ex wife was just telling me, whatever that man has told you, it is a lie. She said, I got out before it got too bad. She said, because once I knew he was lying, I was out. She was like, because he's never going to change. um, and so, again, conversation went on and on. And so finally, we were getting ready to get off the phone. And before we got off the phone, I said to her, I said, if everything is a lie, I said, I have one question for you. And she said, sure. I said, how is your daughter? I said, how is your daughter? Next part coming up. Part 28 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So I had the
Okay. Look, I'm doing it again, Bushes. So here it is. We have reached out to the ex motherfucking wife who confirms, like, don't listen to nothing this Negro says. He's a downright liar. If you're calling me, it must be bad. She confirmed that they never, ever lived in California. He ain't even ever been to no motherfucking California. That it was all a lie. So the very last question that was asked before she hung up the phone with the ex-wife was, how is your daughter? So let's find out how the daughter is. Or is it?
part 29. Who the fuck did I marry? So I asked her, how was your daughter? She said, my daughter's fine. And I said, okay. She said, what did he say about my daughter? And I will be honest with y'all, I didn't have the heart to tell her. So what I said instead was, oh, no, it was, with everything with COVID, I think he mentioned that um, she might have had COVID or was exposed to it. I downplayed it bad. I wasn't going to tell that woman that he said her daughter passed away. Um, so I said, obviously I'm glad to hear that kids are fine. She said, look, whether you stay with him or not, it's your choice. She said, he ain't gonna change. He ain't gonna change at all. She said, this is what he does. She said, you're not the first. You're not gonna be the last. She said he did it to me. She was very, very encouraging because she was just like, you do not blame yourself. She said, we both ignored red flags, but it is not your fault. She said, this is on him. And so we, once again, I thanked her for her time, got off the phone. I took the long way home that night. I could not be around him. I could not be around him. I had to figure something out. I had to figure some things out. So I I took the long way home. What does that mean? It means that I probably could have taken 75 to 285, but I probably took 20 to 75 to 285 to 675 kind of like I just took the long way home. Um a couple of days later, because I really my mind was spinning. A couple of days later, at this point, I'm turning into the FBI, CIA, and Homeland Security all in one. Literally. I'm I'm trying to find everything. Um and he's carrying on his business as usual. Nothing changed with him. He had no idea that I had spoken to the ex-wife. He had no idea I had gone to the court and saw his divorce documents. He had no idea. So a couple of days later, I decided to look up his mother's obituary. Look up the mother's obituary. And down at the bottom, where it talks about, oh, she's preceded in death by, and it lists all the people, the family members that died before. And then it says, leaving behind to cherish her memory. It lists the husband, his dad, her husband, excuse me. Let me start over. It lists her husband, which is Legion's dad. It lists Legion's brother that lives in Philly and his wife, because again, this is a 2000. She passed away in 2015. So it lists Legion, the brother in Philly, and his wife and daughter, her granddaughter. It lists Legion and his wife. I think it was like Latoya or La something, La something. Um, it did not list the ex-wife I just spoke to. And it clearly said Legion, his wife, Latoya. Then it listed the brother in Nashville, his wife, Jane, or whatever. So I'm thinking to myself, there's two things I was thinking immediately. Number one, um, who is Latoya? Never heard that name before. Never heard that name before. So I was thinking, who is Latoya? And then number two, where are the two sisters? Shantae and Kim. Shantae lives in Douglasville, married with two kids. Kim lives in Augusta, and I believe he told me she worked at like Procter and Gamble. So why aren't they listed on here? Because apparently, go back to the video. I posted it on there. I gave y'all background on the family. He apparently was one of five through both parents, brother in Philly, older brother, younger brother in Nashville, an older sister in Douglasville, and a baby sister in Augusta. So why is it on his mother's obituary? There's only three children named. Where are the two sisters? So I'm even more like, what in the hell is going on? And then I started thinking to myself, why wouldn't they list Shantae? Like, they talk all the time, so I know that they're close because he talks to Shantae all the time. So I really was confused. Again, keep in mind, I'm trying to give y'all insight into how I was thinking May of 2021, because I still didn't find out a lot of stuff at that time. I found out enough to figure out, okay, it's not a question of if he's lying. That was over. It's not a question of if he's lying. The question now is becoming, what else is he lying about? So we had the phone call with the ex-wife. Now I see an obituary that apparently there's another wife. I know on our marriage certificate, it only states he had one previous marriage. I had 0, he had 1. So this is how I'm thinking in my head, which is, okay, what am I missing here? I know we've established that he's lying, but who the fuck is Latoya? Like, I'm really trying to understand who is Latoya. Um, and again, he's hobbling around the house, limping, and I'm in our bed, well, in the bedroom, just, I mean, I could not get on Google fast enough to try to figure some stuff out. So, um, see the mom's obituary, study it, and at this point, I'm now trying to figure out, okay, what's the game plan? What is the game plan? And that's where we are about to get into the next part.
Chad, I told y'all around part 30 this shit starts getting good. Woo! Honey. So the reason I didn't want to play the live video of the sun, is because I realized once I clicked on it, I realized that that's Latoya's son, and y'all hadn't heard about Latoya yet. So I was like, you know what? I didn't want to say that. So I was like, well, we'll just go back to let's just go back to the parts. let's come on, y'all. Let's go back to the parts. Because it's hard because I know the whole story, and I'm jumping. So much shit went on last night. He came out. Shantae came out. Honey, Latoya done made a video. Woo, child. So, in my parlay voice, woo, child. It's just so much going on. I almost didn't make it at 12 o'clock like I promised because, honey, my head was like on a little swivel. I was looking over here, looking over there, trying to see this, trying to look up this name, look up that. Ugh. But anyway, so another important detail to know. So this is how she found out about Latoya, because of the obituary. Um, and she also noticed that on the obituary there were only two brothers named, the one up in Philly and the one in Tennessee. Which she's like, well, why? We're the sisters. What's going on? I don't know if she said it, because I ain't gonna front y'all. I'm trying to listen to the sun too to see if there's any good tea. Look, hold on, let me show y'all. I got my little headbands on. It's actually headphones so I can listen to the sun. So I'm trying to listen to the sun, see if he gives us anything good or not. But so she basically was like, I don't know if she said it or she's gonna say it, but she basically was like, she understands that families have issues, and maybe that's why the sons weren't. I mean, why the daughters weren't listed. So let's get the fuck back into this bullshit. If you have not seen part one of this, there, as you can see, there are 26 parts of this story prior to where we are that you really, really need to see so that you understand the backstory. I put it on private. Um, I can give you guys the link if you really want to go back and watch the beginning half. I can take it off private, any of that good stuff. But you really need to see part one of this because we went through 26 videos leading up to what the fuck happened. All right. Ooh, side note. So the daughter, the brother that's on Latoya's daughter, just came into his life and said that man put his hands on her. Child, I know you fucking lying. Ooh, there's so much drama with this son. Anyway, side note, do you like that man? I was gonna, girl, yes. Hold on, let me wrong one. So yes, I love the headband. This is my fourth or fifth one. I sleep with it. I put it under. I put my hair scarf on. I put this on, and then I put my bonnet on. And It's flat, so you can sleep on it. It took like a day or so to get adjusted because it's flat, but it's still something, pressing on your ear. But it took like one night to get adjusted. And baby, let me tell you something. I was shit all night long. I caught myself. So where this whole shit went on with ReesaMTeesa, if you know about TikTok, you have to scroll to the next video. Like you otherwise it stays on the same video. And one of her videos, I can't tell you which one it is now, but it kept playing and playing and playing and playing because I fell asleep. And I caught myself like talking in my sleep, answering her fucking question. And I was so happy my husband didn't hear me because he would have been like, bitch, who the fuck are you talking to? But yes, I love it. I got it from Amazon. I got all of them from Amazon. Um, and I've had ones that cost me $30, $40. I think this one cost me $10, and this one has lasted me the longest. And the problem is, so here's the cord, and you see it's got blue tape on it. So the cord, the little plug and the cord start to separate, and the wires in there get all fucked up. And that's really, and so it stops charging at some point, which is why I've had so many. So now I just keep this electrical tape did not stay on, but this painter's tape, baby, has held true to time. And so far, so good. I think I've had this one almost a year and has not failed me yet. Um, you want to watch part one? Okay, Tracy, I'm gonna go back and take it off private. When I play the next video, I'll go into YouTube Studio and take it off private. Okay, that's what I need. Yes, my husband is a snorer. My husband sounds like a motherfucking grizzly bear. And plus, um I don't sleep like a full 8 hours. I might sleep 3 hours here, 4 hours there. So when I go to bed, she'd be cracking it at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2, 3, 4, every hour of the night in them streets. So I'd be right in my bed and they'd be cussing and fussing and going off, and he don't hear a damn thing, child. Hey, Demon Soul. We ain't talk. You know what though? I take that back. I'm taking my Hey Demon Soul back. How's she gonna go live on top of me yesterday when I'm dishing out this good dirt? But that's neither here nor there. Let's play part 30. I will go unlock part 1 through 26 so y'all can go back and look at 1 through 26 for those that did not see it because it is important. Is it long? It's long as fuck. We were here for 5 hours yesterday. But it is important background information. You have to watch it. Y'all have to watch it. If you're on TikTok or you go to TikTok and find ReesaMTeesa, ReesaM, Teesa, Teesa, and watch her playlist on it. Whatever you choose. I'd rather y'all give me the clicking the view, but that's neither here nor there. So let's get on to it didn't feel like, see? I didn't feel like it was either, but some people be like, oh, 5 hours. But it was a good 5 hours. Okay, we ain't trying to be here another 75 hours. I had to buy StreamYard to come back, y'all. But I told y'all, hell high water, I was coming back and giving y'all this good. All right, let's get to the next part.
Okay, part 30 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So I'm going to use this as a clarification video. So we're going to use part 30 as a stop. Let's clarify some things. I've done that before on a previous set of videos. So I think it's just important to do that. So that way I can try to address some of the things that I have seen in the comments, both supportive and just downright mean. But let me clarify some stuff. Number one, it is important to remember that I am telling this entire story of how I met, dated, married, and divorced my pathologically lying ex husband. I am going in chronological order of events. So, what that means is that, ma'am, sir, whoever you are, if you were coming in at part 30, but you have not seen part 11, some stuff is not going to make sense. I know. It is a long playlist. And don't worry about watching the video as soon as it comes out, because everything I'm trying to do this responsibly of telling the story in the order of which things happen. So I say that to say, please, if you're able to, start at the introduction disclaimer video, start with part one, and then just watch each video. Because a lot of the questions people are having that I'm seeing in the comments, and I say this respectfully, is just because you did not go to the other videos and watch them in order. That's just the first thing I want to say. Um, it is important that I get this story out, but that it's done, like I said, responsibly. To me, responsibly is being honest, even if it makes me look bad, but then also trying to be clear and not ramble all over the place. So I'm trying to take the time to tell you this is what happened at this time. This is what happened at that time. That's why there's so many parts. And we're not even to the part of the divorce yet. We're almost there, but we're not there yet. Second thing I want to clarify, I cannot stress this enough. My family and my friends did not know what was going on between Legion and I. They did not know. My family only knew we've met this guy. He's dating our daughter, our niece, our cousin, our granddaughter. He seems to be a really nice guy. He seems to really love her. Um, from what he has told us, he's done well for himself. He played football, um, and he has worked at this company 6, 7 years. And financially, he is in a good place. From what we understand, he just moved here from California. That is what they knew. They did not know about the red flags I had. They did not know what was going on in my head. They did not know what was going on in my heart, because I did not want to look stupid. I'm fully aware that when I tell this story, I look stupid. I'm aware. And I've made my peace with that. But at the time, I did not want to look stupid. So it was important to me to put on everything's great. We're really happy. We're looking for a house and everything's going well, knowing full well that behind the scenes, I couldn't figure out why he wasn't showing proof of funds. They did not know. So I say that to say, I see the comments about how my aunt gave me horrible advice when I called her about the sexting on Facebook. And I want to clarify something. She did not tell me to stay with him. She did not tell me to leave him. That's not her place, and that's not what she would do. She simply was in shock that any of this had happened and did not know what to give me advice on. The one thing that she did say was, look, he's not your boyfriend, meaning it ain't as simple as, oh, we just gonna break up, pack your shit and go, because you married him. My aunt is the most ride or die chick I've ever met. You fuck with me, you fuck with her. And she is straight Jersey. So I love her for it, but I needed to, it's not fair for me to leave it out there as if, oh, she just was like, girl, I mean, go home and deal with it. No, never in a million years. So I want to clarify that. Also want to clarify about my mom. So my mom lives in Arkansas. And when she in April, this is, we were already married. This is her first time physically meeting Legion. My mom will tell you she had no idea anything was amiss, but there was something that nagged her a little bit. She didn't know what it was. And my mom is the type where she's going to get on her knees in prayer. That's who she is. So for her, it was like, I don't know what it is. He seems like a nice guy. He seems to love my daughter. Because again, there was no arguing in the house. The house was peaceful while she was here, even though behind the scenes we had just came off of the whole sexting incident with other women. So for her, it was like, I don't know what it is. She did tell me later on that it seemed as if I wasn't as happy as she thought I would have been. But again, she took it to the Lord in prayer. And her prayer was, God, protect my child. I don't know what's going on, but protect her. That was my mom's response. So she did not know, she did not pick up or overhear something that was going on while she was here. She had a candid conversation with Legion, and Legion kind of came across as, it's I miss my mom. He missed his own mother, and so he called my mom and doted on her, again putting on a charade. And so for her it was like, bless his heart. That's what she said, bless his heart. um but no, she did not know the specifics. Nobody knew the specifics. They didn't know the specifics until, we're talking May, June of 2021. They knew that we were looking for a house. They knew that the house fell through. They did not know about the proof of funds. They did not know that he wouldn't show me the savings account, the offshore account. So I just want to say that because to me, it would be irresponsible to not clarify what family and friends knew. Because these people have always been supportive of me, always had my back. I just simply did not share with them the things that I felt like were red flags, because again, my mindset at the time was, I want to be married, and what if he isn't lying? And I was making excuses for him to myself, so I definitely would have made excuses to family. Another thing I need to clarify, and I saw the comments on this about how a VP would never date someone that looked like me. And to the person that wrote it, that wasn't very nice. Um, I need you all to understand, the relationship started in March of 2020.
Look, I don't want to hear no damn clarifications. We finna get to it. Cause 30, I think 32 is really when it started to get good. So we finna just go to 31. Fuck her clarifications. We don't care what people said in the comments. Bye. All right, part 31.
Part 31, who the fuck did I marry? So I found his mother's obituary online. It then told me, it listed the it listed his brother in Philly and his wife. It listed Legion, and then it said his wife. I took the name from the obituary and I did a Metro Atlanta court search with that name. I found a divorce record. I found a divorce record with Legion and the same woman's name that was in the obituary. In that divorce record, it looks like he's the one that filed for divorce. This would have been around 2016. This was after the mother's death. He filed for divorce. She was the respondent. I think that's the correct terminology. Both had a temporary protection order against each other. He had one against her, she had one against him. The divorce ended up getting granted, finalized. Then it looks like he went on his way. In the course of the search for her name, I discovered that at one point in time, the two of them had lived in Rhode Island. So that's the connection with Rhode Island, because for the longest time I could not figure out was who lived in Rhode Island. Um, that's where that came from. The two of them, he and this woman, lived in Rhode Island several years prior, or a few years prior. I could not find the obituary for his dad. I searched and I searched. I could not find the obituary for his father. For whatever reason, and I knew his grandmother's name. I just randomly decided to do a Google search of the grandmother's name. Initially, nothing came up, because I was looking for the grandmother's name in Philly. Nothing came up. I looked for the grandmother's name down here in Georgia. Found a record, but um, it wasn't quite clear. What was clear was that she had died several years prior. So what I found was a different website where it was like a legacy.com type thing. So I believe legacy.com holds old obituaries. Did a search for her name, found a match. That is when I discovered that she actually had passed away in July of 2008. Read the read the caption of the obituary and verified that in fact it was his grandmother. Because at the bottom of it, again, obituaries tell you a lot. It names um, who she leaves to cherish her memory. So it lists all the different family members. It lists the brother in Philly. It lists Legion, no spouse, and then a brother in Nashville. Once again, it did not list the two sisters, Shantae and Kim. So I'm even more like, okay, clearly um something, is up when it comes to Shantae and Kim. But what I do know is that he has um talked to them multiple times in front of me. So I'm not sure what I'm missing. Maybe some family feud happened. I honestly, I don't know. So that is how I discovered that when he told me the grandmother died from COVID and he was crying, boo-hooing, and all that shit, she actually had died in July of 2008. I found this out the same time that I found out about allegedly, and I say allegedly because I'll explain, allegedly the first wife, or at least what I think is the first wife. So while all this is going on, Legion is almost bedridden from what happened with his knee. And I need to take a moment to address this issue with the knee. Again, the story started, he hit his knee. Then it turned into, um, it was an old football injury. And this has happened before. He's going to the doctor. The doctor's telling him to ice it and to elevate it. He eventually moves into the guest bedroom to be more comfortable. I'm going to make this statement. This is probably the only time I will make this statement. He was not lying about the injury that he had. I don't know where the injury came from, but what I do know was he was not lying in the fact that he was in pain. You could clearly see that he was in pain, and the pain was becoming debilitating. Please understand what I'm saying. The pain was debilitating enough to where he was taking my pain meds from when I had the miscarriage. And then also, it was hard for him to walk. He was not eating. So, this is what made me believe this, whatever was going on with the knee, there was more to it because he was not eating. When I met this man, he was a size 3X. At this point in time in May, he's down to a 2X. He is not exercising. He is not doing anything mobile. He's simply not eating. So there definitely was something going on, something concerning. Honestly, I thought it might have been cancer. But he kept saying, no, it's not that. It's from a football injury. It's from a football injury. I said to him, the next time you have a doctor's appointment, I want to go. It was that bad. Um, and he kept making excuses like, okay, fine, I'll make the appointment. I'll let you know what it is. Cool, I will take off work. I want to be at that doctor's appointment because whatever is going on with you is serious to the point where you are losing weight rapidly within a 2-week span. So now we can go ahead and enter into June. When we enter into June, I have verified, read the divorce documents, for not one wife, but two wives. I have called San Diego State, verified they have no record of him. He claims he was a private citizen. I don't believe that. They're saying there's no record of him. I have pulled his background. It is showing that you've lived in Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Georgia. When I look at the addresses, it is tied to at least two women, both of whom I'm showing divorce records on file that you had. Um, I've also verified that your grandmother actually died in 2008 and not in 2020 from COVID. I know all of this as I'm going into June. His birthday is June 17th. So all I've been doing is just trying to figure out what is it I'm going to do. I spoke to the pastor and his wife. I believe it was actually the pastor I spoke to because I knew the pastor um, previously before he did our marriage counseling. And I told him what I found. Mind blown. Mind blown. Had no idea. He knew something was up. He knew that Legion was not really trying to make this marriage work. He had no idea all this was going on. So he asked me, are you wanting to stay or do you want to end the marriage? I said, oh, absolutely, I'm ending it. Oh, hell yeah, I'm ending it. I, I have to. I have to end it. Um, I have no idea who that man is in my guest bedroom. Not to mention, on top of all of this, he had lied about the death of the ex-wife's daughter. Part 32. Part 31, who the fuck did I marry?
I told y'all it was gonna get good. Part 32. Whew. Okay, anyway. So, this grandma, you mean to tell me you killed grandma off of COVID and grandma been there since 2008? You done killed off the daughter, who obviously is still alive. So now that makes me wonder about the uncle and about the cousin Junebug. Um, let me clarify. Ronnie Q said not the package. No, she came in the live when she did the live on Sunday. She said she never found out, and you'll see in part 32 kind of why she never found out. But she never found out what his knee problem was. However, she said she believed that it was an autoimmune issue or cancer because both of his parents passed away with cancer. So those were her thoughts. She says she is perfectly healthy. Well, other than the overweight, but she doesn't have anything. So she doesn't think that that was it. Um, what else did I want to say? I think that's all I'll say for this. Let's get on to the good. Part 32. Here we go.
Part 32, who the fuck did I marry? All right. So we're now in June. By this point in June, I have been offered the new job, accepted it, put in my 2 week notice at my previous job, and was going to be starting the new job later on in the month. So when he laughed, where I told him I wanted to get a new job, that laughter fueled me to get a new job. So here's what happened the beginning of June. He's at this point, he's completely bedridden. When I say completely bedridden, what I mean is, um, I'm trying to clarify this so it makes sense. From what I see, he is going to work, but he's calling out a lot more. Okay. So he had already left the condiment company and was working for Apple. So he's calling out quite a bit because the pain is pretty bad. So he's hardly eating at this point, hardly. For example, if I were to say, oh, I ordered a 10-piece wings, he's eating two, and that's it. That's all I would see him eat. I was going to work and coming home. The house was in the exact same um, place that it was when I left. Nothing in the kitchen had been moved. Nothing in the refrigerator had been moved, which led me to believe that he had not left the bed from the time I left to go to work until the time I came home. At this point in time, he's drinking Powerades like it's water. I mean, I'm buying cases of Powerades. And that seemed to be the only thing that he was taking in. So if he was a 3X when I met him, he's probably at a 1X, maybe a 2X, depending on the clothes. He's lost a lot of weight because he's not eating. So that's the reason why I say he wasn't faking whatever was going on. I think the issue with his knee was a symptom. That was not some football injury. That was not, oh, I hit it at work. It wasn't that. Something else was going on. I had kept asking him to, let me know when you have a doctor's appointment. I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with you. And he just kept saying the doctor to he's calling the doctor, and the doctor told him to just keep icing the knee. But I knew better. What was happening was I didn't care because of all the stuff I was finding out. So beginning of June, he is in the bed, sleep, and I get his phone. I ain't gonna lie. I got his phone. He had a work phone and he had a personal phone. It was the work phone that he had from the condiment company that apparently was never turned in. Follow me. It'll all come out. So he still had the work phone. It was deactivated. But he did not wipe the phone, if y'all know what I mean. Take all the data off. He did not do that. So I look through the phone and I see this would have been text messages. Text messages between him and a woman named Peaches. I go back to the beginning of the text messages. This is on the work phone. This is the beginning of June of 2021. I go back to the text messages the beginning of the text messages between him and Peaches. Yes, that was her name, Peaches. I'm reading the thread because he's knocked out sleep. So I'm in the bathroom with the door locked, reading the thread. And what I can tell is that he met Peaches on POF. If you don't know what POF is, it is Plenty of Fish, a dating website. He met Peaches. I saw the messages in June, so he met Peaches around February. Met Peaches from POF. And apparently Peaches was, there's no nice way to say it. Apparently Peaches was a prostitute. So the reason why I say that is because in the text messages, she's listing the prices. So he asked for a hand job. This is in the text messages. She told him it would be like $40. He asked how much would it be for oral. She said it would be 60. Because it was 60 and 80. One was the price with a condom, one was the price without one. So no messages after that. She sent a picture, he sent a picture. No messages after that. So in other words, these messages were not back to back every single day. There's breaks in between the messages. So like a message was in March, the next message is in April. Message in April, next message is like 2 weeks later. So he's asking her the prices. Next message I see would have been from a few weeks prior to the date of this. So this was the beginning of June. the messages from sometime beginning of May, where he is thanking her and says to her, thank you so much. That was really great. I hope I can see you again. Then there's messages where she said, "Hey, basically she was at a new spot. She must have moved." So he said, "Okay, I'm gonna come through. I'm gonna come see you." He's asking her to confirm the address. He was like, "Is it the house with the brown trash can with a white car in the front?" She says, "Yes." So I'm thinking he was actually in front of the house when he's texting these messages. Then again, he does whatever he does, and he sends her a message a few hours later saying, "Thank you. That was great." I'm reading all this. Um, and I will tell you guys something that you may or may not understand. Some women may or may not understand it. The cheating didn't even phase me. Didn't even phase me. I didn't cry. I didn't I did not feel like, what did I do wrong? I was relieved. The reason why I was relieved is because up until this point, I kind of struggled a little bit on whether or not, God, I know, Lord, you hate divorce, but I can't stay with a guy that lies. So when I saw the cheating stuff, I was like, oh shoot, thank you, Jesus. Okay. Because I know my Father in heaven's going to forgive the fact that I'm a divorce him for infidelity. Go ahead. It's fine. Jesus will forgive me. So I was relieved, to be honest with you. Like, oh, okay. I got grounds now, bitch. That's how I felt. So saw the messages, forwarded the messages to my phone. Um, or excuse me, I had to take my phone because the phone was deactivated. So I kind of had to do a little ghetto, hold the phone up, take my phone, and take pictures of what I see on the phone, so that I would have proof on my phone. Then I put the phone back and continued on. Now, in the next part, is the day that he gets kicked out. And I will tell y'all what happened.
Not Jesus is not in that union. Why it always got to be a bitch named Peaches? Why it always got to be a bitch named Peaches? Honey, he wanted some peaches. He should have went to Peach Tree. Because let me tell you, there's about 75 different streets named Peachtree down in Atlanta. Instead of trying to go to damn hooker. I don't know. I mean, I get what she's saying. That by this point, she was completely numb to the fact that he was cheating. Like, who cares? You done put me through so much other bullshit. Cheating is the least of my concerns. Peaches spell bad luck all the time. All the time. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go through my husband's phone today and make sure ain't nobody named Peaches in his phone. Uh, but yeah, that was the least of her concern because there has been so much stuff that he has put her through. She is finding out the big facts now, which she should have found out in the beginning, which I believe was kind of harder because of the fact that he lied about his social. Um, and oh, I kind of want to touch on one more thing. So I just during one of the parts, I went and I listened to Latoya did a video. And I just want to point out that the reason he was the petitioner and Latoya was the respondent was because she got away from him and she was terrified and did not want to go to court because, as we all know, you have to give your address and just how she was able to find the second wife. You got to have your address and all this information in there. So she got away from him. She ran from him. She was scared to file. She was scared to respond because she didn't want that man to have her personal information. So what I believe happened is he petitioned the court to get a divorce, and it was granted solely on the fact that Latoya never even showed up. So I just wanted to point that little fact out because I just learned it, and I didn't know that during the during the series. She don't know who he is, so nah, he getting something. He got something. No, because I know because again, you have to watch from yesterday, but apparently they were never using any kind of protection for a year in market, a year and 3 months. So if he had something, she would have had it for sure. But again, she confirms that she's completely healthy. Uh, right, Kervixen. Hence the name of the story time. Who the fuck did I marry? Because she don't know who the hell he is. She has no clue. So let's get into how how she finally put her foot up his ass and kicked him out.
Part 33, Who the Fuck Did I Marry? June 17th, 2021. So, you guys have been on this ride. You now know exactly what information I did have. The morning of June 17th, which was his birthday, he was in the bed as usual, Powerade bottles all over the place because I wasn't in the mood to clean. Um, and so I went in his room. He was awake. He was watching YouTube on his cell phone. He watched a lot of YouTube, watching these two guys that always were fixing Jeeps on YouTube. Um, and if I saw them, I would know exactly who they are, but I can't remember their name. It's a popular show on YouTube. Anyway, so I go in there and I just calmly sit on the edge of the bed and I was like, "Can we talk?" And he was like, "Yeah, what's up?" I said to him, I said, "Legion," obviously I called him his name, "Legion." I said, "I'm going to ask you something. I just want you to be honest with me." So he starts, I can already see in his eyes, he's about to get defensive. And I was like, "Calm." Because this is the tone I had. "Calm." I said, "You never went to San Diego State, did you?" He rolls his eyes and he's like, I said, "Calm down. Watch your tone." I said, "You never went to San Diego State." I said, "You never lived in California, did you?" And he said, "Of course I lived in California." He was like, "I fucking showed you the house I had in California." He said, "And I told you about San Diego State. I was a private citizen. My dad paid for me to be a private citizen." And I said, "Okay." I said, "I called San Diego State." And he looked at me. His eyes were like empty. Like he wasn't shocked. He wasn't like, "Oh my God." He was just more like, "Okay." I said, "They have no record of you." I said, "They have no record because you never went. You never been to California." So at this point, I'm very calm and I'm just stating, I said, "You never been to California." I said, "I bet you've only lived in Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island." At this point, now there's a little emotion behind the eyes. And I said, "I don't think that this is going to work." And he said, "What, the marriage?" He was like, "So what you saying? You don't want to be married to me anymore?" And I said, "I don't want to be married to you anymore." I said, "We need to go our separate ways. We tried, but we need to go our separate ways." The way that I am talking to you all is exactly how I was talking to him. And so he was like, "That's not what marriage is. Marriage is, you have to fight for what you want." I said, "I don't want this. And I don't want to fight for it." I said, "I don't want you and I don't want this." And so he was like, "I'm not giving up on the two of us." I said, "You don't have a choice. I said, I think that you should call your brother or your sister now. And I think that you need to pack a bag. And I think you need to get the fuck out my house. And he was like, I don't really have time for this. I don't feel well. I said, I don't care. You need to get out of my house. Again, the way I know y'all are going to be like, she's so dramatic. And in real, I am actually a very dramatic person. But the way that I'm talking to you guys on this video is exactly how I was talking to him in the beginning of how this started. So I said, you need to call your brother, um, or call your sister because she's in Douglasville, and you need to go stay there. You need to get out this house today. Basically, what happened was, at first, he refused. He wasn't moving fast enough for me. Um, and so he called his aunt, and his aunt was on speakerphone. Let me preface that. She was on speakerphone. And so she was like, what's going on? And he was like, my wife don't want me no more. She claimed that I be lying to her. I ain't never lied to her. When I heard this, what's the analogy I can give y'all? When I heard him say to his aunt, I ain't never lied to her before, something in me snapped. The best analogy I can give you, do y'all remember that movie Carrie, when she was at the prom and everyone was laughing at her? The blood had fallen down on her, and there was a moment where her eyes just went wild, and you knew something was about to happen. You just didn't know what, but y'all had pushed her too far. When he said to his aunt, I ain't never lied to her, I snapped. The calmness left, the amount of rage that was in me. I could have fought every member of the Kansas City Chiefs and beat every last one of their asses. I could have fought every member on the Atlanta Falcons and beat every last one of their asses. I'm not a violent person, but I was there. That statement, I ain't never lied to her, took me there. I went off. I went off. I went off so bad that first of all, every part of me was shaking. I called my mom. My mom was on speakerphone, and she's in Arkansas. My mom's a praying woman. I was cussing like a sailor. My mom finally said, put him on the phone. So I gave him the phone, and I'm standing there and I'm looking around the room. Is the scene that I remember is the Angela Bassett scene in Waiting to Exhale, when her eyes are darting around the room right before she grabs everything to put it in the car to set it on fire. I was more so looking at what weapons were in the room: the lamp, the TV, the dresser. I was looking more, I was, while she was talking to him, my eyes were darting around the room, because if he did not get his ass up and get his shit and get up out of my house, it was going to be bad. If I have never in my life been on TikTok and said thank you, if had it not been for the blood, y'all, I know this is going to sound dramatic. I know this is going to sound like, girl, you so funny. You don't understand. Had it not been for the Lord on my side, had it not been for the fact that I know I got a praying mother, I know I had a praying aunt, I know I've had a praying grandmother in heaven, because I'm telling you, I clearly saw what was getting ready to happen had he not gotten up, got his shit, and got out of my house. So I'm trying to calmly say this, because I'm trying to calmly tell this story because the rage had taken over me. The pure, unadulterated rage that I felt when he said to his aunt, I ain't never lied to her, after I had discovered only 2% of the lies at that point. Just 2%. So it was enough for me to be like, you need to get your stuff and go. So my mother gets on the phone and she says to him, Legion, she called him by name. She said, I am not there to control my daughter. She said, in the name of Jesus, get your stuff and get out that house because I think she might kill you. Get out of the house. She's on my phone. His aunt is on his phone. His aunt said, nephew, come home. Home for her was Philly. She said, I'll send you money. Come home. Leave that house right now. She said, because I think that that woman is about to kill you. Let's go. Let's just go to part 34. Let's all just take a deep breath.
Child, the way she referenced Carrie, oh yeah, she was ready. She was on go. You hear me? She was ready to tussle. I am so happy that she finally found her strength because apparently her strength, her self worth, all that stuff, because apparently it had been missing. I don't know where it was. I don't know where she found it. But I'm glad she did because at what point is enough of fucking enough already? All right, just a brief commercial. If you please make sure to hit the like button, I greatly appreciate it. Share if you care, all that good stuff. If you are here and you did not watch part one, you gotta go back and watch part one. It is so important because you have no idea of all the shit this man did leading up to this. So let's get on to part number 34.
Part 34. Who the fuck did I marry? So the aunt told him, I'll send you money. Come home. I'm yelling in the background, by the way. I'm not standing there calmly. I'm yelling. I said, oh, he got money. Yeah, you got money. You got money in that offshore account, right? You got money in that Chase account. You got money to drive. So do what you got to do. I told him, and I'm not going to repeat some of the stuff I said because my mom might see this TikTok. But I did tell him, I was like, if you don't get out of this house, you going actually what I said was, you have two options. You either gonna leave this house voluntarily or you're gonna leave this house involuntarily. And he tried to get a little nuck if you buck. He tried. And that's when because he was still on the bed, still laying in the bed. And he was just like, you ain't gonna do shit. Like, don't talk to me like you done lost your fucking mind. Da, da, da. And I calmly got close to him. I got like this close. And I literally said, I will beat you like the bitch you are. I dare you to try me. I said, I will literally beat you like the male bitch you are. And so when I said that, his eyes were like, I said, I'm not even playing. Because at this point, I'm rocking like back and forth. Y'all, again, I'm not some hardened type chick. I'm not. I don't want the soft lifestyle, but I have been pushed to the point. So I'm rocking, I'm walking back, I'm pacing. So finally, his aunt was able to get through to him. I had called my aunt, my mother, my aunt. I had called the pastor. I had called all these people because I did know that I was in a very dangerous place. Not because I'm scared of him. At this point, I was scared of me. I don't know if this has ever happened to someone where you know your own, you know yourself. You know that you got a line. I was over that line. So I had enough wherewithal to be like, okay, you probably gonna go to jail today. You probably gonna go to jail. Um, you probably ain't gonna have that job in the morning. Like I was there. And again, this is not to sound bragging at all. This was a woman who I could not believe that even with the attempt of me trying to give him one last opportunity to tell me the truth, he still lied in my face. I was at my edge. So I yanked the covers back, and um I told him, I was like, get up, get the fuck out of my house. Again, I'm saying it calmly on here. It was nothing calm in the house when this happened. So I'm throwing stuff up against the wall. Um, I remember I looked at the lamp. He looked at me looking at the lamp, and I think something in him realized, okay, I yeah, I'm in pain, but if I don't get up, she's going to do something with that lamp. So he does get up. He is still on the phone with the aunt, because the aunt was pretty much like, keep me on the phone. She did not want him to hang up. He throws some stuff together. Again, keep in mind, he has all his stuff in the house. So he basically packed like 2 bags worth of clothes. And he's limping around, and I'm standing in the hallway watching him like a probation officer. So he's limping around. Um, and I'm looking at the condition of the bedroom. This is when I noticed Legion had been semi bedridden. Remember, I told y'all that, because the knee and other stuff. I look at these bottles of Powerade, because he had been drinking Powerade so much at this point. He was not getting up to go to the bathroom. He was drinking the Powerade and then using the empty bottles to pee in. So there was about 6 bottles around the bed. And I was like, what is this? Because again, I hadn't really been going in that room. I was busy being CIA, FBI, and Homeland Security for the past 2 weeks. So I was like, what is this? He was like, I'm going to throw it out. He grabbed a trash bag, put the bottles in there. And I said, what are in those bottles? I said, tell me. And I think I started like twitching. Like, tell me. That is not piss in those bottles. He was like, I couldn't make it to the bathroom. I was in too much pain. So at this point, I'm even more like, yeah, get the fuck out. Get out. Um, get out of my house. So I helped him while he was packing his bags. I went downstairs. I took the house key off of his keys. Um, I went back upstairs. He had his 2 bags. I grabbed the 2 bags. Yes, I did. I grabbed the 2 bags. I had opened up the garage. I had already popped the trunk for his car and threw the bags in the car. I did that because I was like, you getting out of this house. You getting out of this house today. You can't come back. You can't come back ever. So I had it took him about 2 hours from the time of I will beat you like the bitch you are for him to actually leave the house. Again, I'm calm telling y'all this story. It was not calm in the house. So he eventually puts on some sweatpants. Now I can really see how much weight he has lost. But he puts on some sweatpants, he puts on a shirt, he's limping down. He's like, you really gonna kick me out on my birthday? I just looked at him. I just looked at him. Opened the door. He went through the garage, got into his car, called, his aunt was still on the phone, and she was like, I'm gonna send you some money. And that's the part I was like, clearly he has the money. Like, you ain't got to send him money. He doesn't even have to go to Philly. He can just go get a hotel for now. I don't care what he does. He's just gotta leave his house. So he ends up get in the car, driving off. My mom calls and she's just like, is he still there? I said no. Um, I had not told her what all he had lied about. Even in the midst of me being angry and me going off, I never told him that I spoke to the ex wife. I never told him I knew he was lying about the stepdaughter, because then he would have asked what makes you say that? So I did keep my word. I never told him I spoke to her. So he eventually left. I text my landlord. I said, I have an emergency. I need to know if it is okay to get the locks changed. Landlord was like, that's fine. My landlord was super cool. Shout out to Mr. Patel. Um, I went to Home Depot, bought brand new locks. Text a friend of mine, asked him, when you get off work, can you please come by my house? I need the locks changed today. So he was like, oh, okay, what's going on? I said, I'll explain it later. So, to give you a timeline of June 17th, when I asked him about San Diego State and I told him that I know you've never even been to California, that was about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. By the time he left the house, it was maybe going on noon, 1 o'clock. So this happened pretty quickly. Um, if you're wondering why did you even ask him, I already knew that I wanted out. I knew that. But for some reason, a part of me was like, let's just see if he'll be honest just one last time. And he wasn't. And it sent me into a rage. And then he lied to his aunt, saying, I ain't never lied to her. And that sent me over the edge. So by 1 o'clock, by 1:30, he was gone. By 2:30, I had done a pretty good job of cleaning up the bedroom. He had thrown away the Powerade bottles. So I didn't have to touch those. I stripped the sheets. Anything that he touched in that bedroom, I stripped the sheets, threw them in the trash bag, threw them out in the trash can. And so most of this was adrenaline. Adrenaline was pushed because I hate packing. I hate doing all that stuff. I went on Amazon. I ordered oversized, large tote bags because I was packing up all his shit. Part 30.
I don't even know what to say. I we gonna keep going. That's what I'm gonna say. We're about to keep this train moving.
Part 35. Who the fuck did I marry? So I packed up all his stuff. Okay. The reason why I packed up all his stuff is because so I had a 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath townhome. One room was the guest room. Obviously, there was a master bedroom, and then we had a TV room that he had made like his Philadelphia Eagles man cave. I was going to put everything that belonged to him, pack it up, and put it in the TV room because the plan should have been that he's going to come back and get all his stuff. Okay. So that's why I did it. And honestly, it just felt good to pack up his stuff and go through it freely. Because when he packed in a hurry, he left obviously really important things. He left all his Invicta watches, he left all his WWE championship belts. If you know anything about WWE championship belts, you know those things are expensive. He left all his Jordans. He left suits. He left Cole Haan shoes. He left all that because it was such a hurry for him to leave. So all that was still in my house. Um, so around 2:30, I think I wasn't even at a place where I could start crying. I was just too angry, still shaking, packing everything up, packing everything up. One of the things that he left, um, is a photo album with all the pictures of his mom and dad and his siblings growing up. Now, I had the thought of I was going to have a burn party and I was going to put it on Facebook Live. I was going to burn it with my friends and drink and dance and play music. But it's his deceased parents. I do have a heart. So I put that somewhere special, meaning I put it up in the closet. Um, he had told me that he was going to come back and get his stuff. And so I just did not, I didn't throw anything out unless it was like something I knew was trash. Other than that, I put everything up and kept it, in the TV room. So that's June 17th. Also on June 17th, I had already ordered his birthday cake. I had ordered the birthday cake like the end of May because it was like a special birthday cake. So I also had to go get the birthday cake from the bakery in East Point. Um, and I took it to my family's house and we ate it. Yes, I had left the house, went to my family's house, filled them in, my aunt, my little cousin, and my grandfather, because my mom was in Arkansas. So went over to their house, filled them in on what was going on. They could not believe it. Although my grandfather then told me, he said, he ain't look like he was a football player. He was like, I ain't want to say nothing, but he ain't look like he was a football player. Gotta love grandparents. So we ate his birthday cake, went back home. The friend that I had called came, changed all the locks, I changed the security codes. Um, Effectively, he would not have been able to get in that house. So that is what happened on June 17th. So now we can fast forward. He would text me and he would call me that he got to Philly. Apparently he left Georgia and immediately went to Philly. So he immediately went to Philly, and he did text me and said that he made it to Philly and he was staying at his aunt's house. I know that this is a short part. That's okay because what we're doing now is I went through how we met, I went through how we dated, I went through how we got married. Um, Now I'm taking you all to June 17th. The week after June 17th, he's in Philly. He still would call me. He still would text me. The conversations we were having the week after June 17th, so this would be June 18th up to the 24th. The conversations we are having had to do with divorce. So, who's going to file? And he was like, well, I don't want a divorce, so I'm going to fight you on it. Are you? Really? Are you going to fight me on the divorce? Um, I didn't know anything about filing for divorce. So, but I refused to stay in a place of ignorance. So I went online. There's a website that you can go to where you pay like a $200, $239 fee, and you fill out basic information and you choose your state. You choose your state, and they will um, not process, but they will make all your documents. All you got to do is print it out and take it to the court. And it is step-by-step directions. We didn't have any property with each other. We didn't have any kids with each other. So by the state of Georgia's standards, this should be an uncontested divorce. So the conversation that last week, the week of June 18th to the 24th, was about divorce. What stuff do you want to keep? Well, I'm gonna come and get all my stuff. I just don't understand why you couldn't talk to me about it. I said, there's no room for talking because you've been lying to me since day one. But even still, keep in mind, as of June 17th, June 18th, June 19th, I did not know what I know now. So the lies were really only like 5% of the whole story. So June 24th or 25th is when I had printed my documents. And I'm laughing because this point in time, I've read y'all's comments about how that man will print out stuff. I know. But I used the website, typed all my stuff in, got my documents, and then I took a day off from the job because I was getting ready to transition into the new job. So I left work early, went to the courthouse, and filed for divorce. I filed, I paid. Um, and then I already had the documents where he would have needed to sign so that it could then be entered into for a divorce settlement agreement. So going into part 36 or 35, I know there's so many parts. Going into the next part is where I can tell you guys what happened with him because he drove to Philly and he was in Philly for about a week, maybe 3 to 4 days. Then I get a message on Facebook Messenger from a woman claiming to be his cousin. Lord Jesus. So the cousin tells me, well, actually, I can tell y'all. So the cousin tells me that he's there. He's telling the family that I kicked him out. He's telling the family that I kicked him out after he walked in on me having an affair, that I stole his money and I then kicked him out. And the man I was having an affair with, he said was a law enforcement officer who used his duty weapon to threaten him to get out the house. This is what he told his family. And the cousin was reaching out to me. She found me through a search on Facebook and was reaching out to me because she's like, "We know he lies." So I'm just trying to figure out is this true? Because he's up here asking us for money, asking to stay on our couches. Like, what's going on? Then she explained to me, we didn't even know he got married. So this is the first time we're hearing about you. What do you mean you didn't know he got married? He talks to his brother every day. She said, "Who told you that?" I said, "I've heard him talk to his brother every day. All his brothers." She said, "All his brothers? How many brothers do you think he has?" I said, "He has 4 brothers." I named them. She said, "He has 2 brothers." She said, "He has the twin and he has the older brother." I said, "Twin? Who is the twin?" Welcome to the next part where we discover the real family tree.
Can any of y'all say crazy as hell? Crazy. When I say Gemini, he is the true Gemini. He has a twin? Question mark. Ah, so when I went down, you're confused. Okay, tell me what you're confused about. Correction. Just when you think it can't get worse, it does. That's why I said, honey, parts 1 through 30 are nothing. It's the after the 30. This is from 30 to 50, where I literally at one point was sitting with my mouth open and my eyes buck. You hear me? Afternoon, I'm Mr. Love. What happened so far, please? From where? Okay, real quick. We basically what happened was she spoke to the ex-wife. She found the mother's obituary, spoke to the ex-wife. Come to find out, there was nothing wrong with the daughter. She did not pass away from COVID, yada, yada, yada. He then found out about another ex-wife through another obituary, which happened to be the first ex-wife. Chat, it's just so much, even in these little 10 parts. You might Peach, you might have to red ball. It's good. So now she's at the point now where she put his ass clean the fuck out. Clean the fuck out. And now she's about to find out about the real family history. Welcome to the 17 of you that are in the chat. Please make sure to hit the like button. If you did not see part 1, which was yesterday, it is 5 hours. But it is every part from 1 through 26. You really, I cannot stress enough, you really need the backstory. None of this is going to make sense without the backstory. Is it good? Absolutely. But the backstory is important. We was on so long yesterday, I had to buy StreamYard so that we could continue this train moving. And after I have about another hour that I can do this afternoon. And then if we're not done, we'll come back tonight and finish the rest. And we'll get into some of the other things that I found about the ex-son-in-law, the wives, the Shantae. I just found so much shit. Okay, I'll listen back later while I work tonight. I'll listen now. Okay, Peach. So the obituary said 3 boys. So the twins is the brother that lives in Tennessee or Philly. Okay, she's gonna clarify. But what the cousin said was he has 2 brothers, an older brother and a twin, meaning he is a twin. So it's him and his twin brother and an older brother. The older brother's in Philly, the twin brother's in Tennessee. So not twins, a twin is what she was saying. All right, I will try to answer anything in the chat, and let's keep this train rolling. Make sure y'all hit the like button. I appreciate it.
Part 39, who the fuck did...
All right, apparently I gotta go and look for the right part. I thought these were all in order, so give me a second, because that was, oh shit, now I don't forgot. Let me red ball my own video. We were on part 35, so we need part 36. All right, give me 1 second, guys, because I don't want y'all to miss nothing at this point. If it was kind of still the backstory, I'd be like, oh, fuck them 3 parts. But no, we ain't missing nothing. Let me go back and find part 36. Ooh, these so tiny. 40, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 39. Okay, where the fuck is 36? Now I'm wondering if someone got some of her videos taken down. Oh shit, so these videos right here, I don't know if y'all can see my little this is actually her live video. I guess I can record it. I mean, I can delete it now. Seen that. Oops. That she uploaded it. Why can't she's about to piss me off? You about to piss me off. Child, there's 20 parts to the live. Lord. Okay. 36. I found it. Jesus. But then it goes from 36 to 40. Because what did I say we were on? We were on 35. So here's 36. Just bear with me, y'all. I don't see 37, 38. Oh, she about to really piss me off if I can't find it. Okay, I'm just gonna go to 36 and then I'll look through my phone to see if I can figure out where the hell the next part went.
Part 36, Who the Fuck Did I Marry? The Family Tree. Please fasten your seatbelts and put the tray tables in the upright position. Let's go. All right. The cousin, I'm not going to name her. The cousin had reached out to me on Facebook, asked me to please give her a call. So this conversation was on the phone. Yes, I was actually speaking to her. She informs me again about the whole he's up there, he's telling everyone that he walked in on me cheating on him. It was with a law enforcement officer, and that the law enforcement officer used his duty weapon to threaten him to get him out of the house. The reason why I'm particularly mentioning the fact that he said it was law enforcement is because he was trying to get a family member, like one of his cousins, to call the agency of the law enforcement officer and file a complaint, which in hopes would then start an internal affairs investigation. Yeah. So, female cousin's on the phone with me. She's telling me everything that he is telling them. She's like, look, we know he a liar. We don't fuck with him. He's been a liar since a kid, but he's also family. She said, we didn't know at all who you are. So I thought that that was interesting because I was like, you didn't know who I was, but his brother knew who I was. And so again, that's when I said to her that I was like, I've talked, he's talked to his brother every day. So why wouldn't the brother tell y'all that he had gotten married? And so she said, what brother? And so I told her the brother's name. And she said, he told you that? I said, he was having the phone calls in front of me. So at this point, what the cousin said was, she was like, okay, I'm gonna confirm that with him. She was like, he lives up the street, so I'm gonna just confirm that with him. She was like, because I'm pretty sure that they have been beefing for a while. I was like, I can only tell you what I saw, what I heard. That's all I can say. So then when she asked me about, well, how many brothers do you think he has? And I said he has four brothers. Again, I listed all of them. This woman was like, he has two brothers. She said he has the twin, and he has the older brother, the one that he was on the phone with every morning, blah 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 blah. I said, twin? Who's the twin? So this is where she explained to me. She said the parents, mom and dad, had the older brother. The older brother is about 5 or 6 years older than Legion. Legion and the younger brother who lives in Nashville, they are twins. So when he kept saying the younger brother, my younger brother by 2 years, it's his older brother by 20 minutes. They are twins. I have seen a picture of this brother. Yes, they do very much look alike, but I didn't know they were twins. It doesn't even matter. I didn't know they were twins. But definitely they had the same mom and dad. So she was like, no, that he's older. He's older than Legion by 20 minutes. They're twins. She said, so the parents had three boys, brother in Philly, the older brother, and the twins. She was like, who the hell are these sisters that you're talking about? So I tell her, I was like, Shantae and Kim. She said, I don't know who Shantae is. She said, Kim is my daughter. Kim is not his sister. Kim is my daughter. And she said, that's his cousin. She was like, and they haven't spoken in about 20 years. So, no, that's not his sister. He does not have any sisters. And I said, well, then what about the other two brothers? She was like, what other two brothers? I said, the brothers from his dad. She was like, you mean to tell me This man is going around telling people, I know somebody's gonna quote Nicki Minaj, lying on your dead mama, but try not to. She says, you mean to tell me this man is walking around lying on his dad, saying that his dad had kids outside of his mom? And I kind of stuttered, like, yeah. She was like, he does not. She said, I have no idea who those two men are. She said, those are not his brothers. But if y'all remember, I've met those two, and he introduced them as, man, this is my brother John, this is my brother Matt, type thing. And so they both were like, "Oh, my sister, it's good to meet you. It's good to meet you." Remember that, because obviously I do eventually talk to those two men again. So she says to me, the family tree is mom and dad, the three sons. She was like, there are no sisters. She said, I don't have a clue who Shantae is. She said, Kim is my daughter, so that's just their cousin. But again, they ain't spoken 20 years. I said, okay. And then there was the grandmother. She said, yeah. She named the grandmother. She was like, yeah, she died in like 2008. I said, yeah, he told me that she died in 2020. And that, all of you were coming down for the memorial service. And she's just like, she died in 2008. I said, then there was the uncle who also died from COVID. She was like, which uncle is that? I told her the name. She said, he's been dead since like, shit, 2010. I said, okay, what about the cousin nicknamed Junebug? Everybody got a cut. If you're not African American, we all know a Junebug somewhere. And she just was like, oh yeah, cousin Junebug. She was like, man, that's crazy what happened to him. And I was like, what do you mean what happened to him? Because I know he has talked to his cousin Junebug on the phone like a few months prior. He was like, and so she said to me, she said, yeah, he had passed away in like 2016. So this is now three people that she's naming that I recall him having either a story about or a phone call with. And she's telling me that they are all passed away. So this is when the conversation kind of changes. And she's like, you know what? She said, let me speak to the older brother, because he probably wants to talk to you. She was like, you probably should talk to him, and a lot of your answers, a lot of your questions will get answered. She was like, this dude's been lying ever since he was a kid. She was like, she said, literally, we don't fuck with him. I remember her saying that verbatim. She was so adamant. She was like, and when he showed up here out the blue, talking about how his wife cheated on him with a law enforcement officer, and how the guy took his gun out and threatened him to leave the house. She was like, we knew something was up. She was like, that's why I had to find out who you were and reach out to you and find out the truth. I said, there was no other guy. There was no law enforcement officer. And she was like, yeah, because he was telling us where the dude worked and how we should go ahead and file, like help him file a complaint so that this dude could lose his job. I said, there is no other person. I said, I kicked him out. That was me, all by myself. No gun, just my fist. Um, and so she said, he's telling us that he had got married, and then she was like, apparently y'all had a baby. So she was like, so you got a kid with him? So I had explained to her. I said, no. I said I had a miscarriage back in July, or excuse me, back in June of 2020, and I had to have surgery in July. So she was just like, girl. So she started like really being encouraging and was saying, you dodged a bullet, honey. She was like, I don't wish this. She's like, I know he my family, but I don't wish him on no woman. So we've had each other's numbers. She was like, if you need anything, please feel free to call me. She was like, I've had my own issues with him. I've had my own issues in life. But she was like, get your divorce and be done with him. Then she said, I'm going to put you in contact with the older brother. Next part is me finally talking to the older brother that he had been talking to every morning.
This Negro is crazy. Verifiable, stone cold, motherfucking crazy. So I learned today, I believe that the first wife, the Latoya chick, was only with him about 6 months, I think, or married 6 months, if I'm not mistaken. And I discovered in watching The Sun that him and Legion actually got into a physical altercation, and they both were thrown in jail, child. Both of them were thrown in jail. It's just so much. Okay, I'm gonna look again uh, on the computer version of here. I'm gonna talk to you guys while I do that. But I'm gonna look again because I can see all the parts on my cell phone, and so I'm just now understanding why I can't see all of the parts on. I'm gonna refresh it because if not, I will just go ahead and play the audio from my cell phone, and you guys just won't be able to watch it. But I'm pretty sure that you guys know what she looks like at this point. 36. Yeah, I don't know why. All right, I'll just play. Yeah, like there's two. I don't know where they are on this. Okay, I ain't gonna even waste no time. We will catch back up on part 40 when it looks like she when it comes back. So let me pull it. Well, I already got it on my cell phone. So that was we need 30. Child, why am I just having like all the brain freezes? We need 37. Before the 5, 36, 37.
37, who the fuck did I marry? So at this point in time, I have filed for divorce. I paid for the filing fee. I'm representing myself pro se, and it should be an uncontested divorce. During this time, Legion had driven to Philly, lied to his family, and said I had cheated on him, that he caught me, and that the guy I cheated on him with was a law enforcement officer who used his gun to threaten him to get out the house. None of that was true. At some point while he was in Philly, he ran out of options in terms of where he could stay. Family members did not want him to stay with them. Apparently, a lot of bridges were burned, according to the female cousin I had talked to on the phone. So he left Philly and went to Augusta. Yes, what you were hearing is correct. He drove from Georgia to Philly, stayed in Philly for about 3-4 days, left Philly, drove back to Georgia, went to Augusta. Keep in mind, if you have lost your notes at this point, he was raised in Philly and did high school in Augusta before he went to California. So he has family in Augusta. So at this point, he's on his way to Augusta to stay with a new set of people. The reason why this is important is because what I have is a divorce settlement agreement. That divorce settlement agreement has to be signed by the two of us, where we are basically telling the court, look, this is what he's keeping, this is what I'm keeping. I need his signature. Let me repeat that. I need his signature because I wanted a very quick and painless divorce, as much as it could be. So by this time, this is now around June 25th. So around June 25th, he's now in Augusta. He had left the house June 17th. So between June 17th and June 24th is the trip to Philly, then leaving Philly, coming to Augusta. My aunt and my little cousin get in the car with me, and I drive to Augusta with a rag on my head, some sweatpants, and a tank top because it's July, so it's hot. But we ride to Augusta. I had spoken to him. I had said, I just need you to sign this piece of paper, and he was like, I'll get to it when I get to it. No, no, no. We're going to get to it as quickly as possible. So that means I got to drive to Augusta tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. I'm going to do that because I need that signature. I ain't telling this. This was my attitude. Sure enough, went ahead, drove down there. I met him at the UPS store in Augusta. It's in the same Kroger shopping center. They had a notary there because I needed the papers to be notarized. So he pulls up. It's only been a week since I last saw him. It has been months since my aunt saw him. Okay? She had no idea of the condition that he was in. Again, I'm telling y'all, when I met him, when he met my family, he was like a size 3X. In just a short span of time for a week, he easily could have been in an extra large, maybe even a large, but was wearing 3X clothes. So he has told me this whole time, he didn't know I had spoken to his family. Okay? I need to put that in there. He did not know I had spoken to his cousin. So he was telling me that he had a place to stay. He was staying with some family members, and everything was cool. He told me he was going back to Augusta because he had a job. That's what he told me. The family member, the cousin, told me, oh no, it's not that he had a job. We kicked his ass out because he's still lying. And we don't want anything to do with him. So when I saw him get out the car, I immediately knew, you probably have not washed in 3 days. I'm not overreacting. His nails had not been cut, so his nails were a bit long. He smelled like the Chattahoochee dump on a hot summer Georgia day. He stunk so bad. And for a moment, I did not recognize the man that I was legally married to. I did not recognize him. He almost looked, what's the word he made? Emaciated? If I may be mispronouncing it, but the way someone looks when they've lost so much weight and it's almost like your skin and bones. He looked homeless. He smelled homeless. And my heart just kind of broke. It kind of did. I'll be honest, it kind of broke. It did not break enough for me to not get that signature, though. So when he walked into the UPS store, you clearly could see that some of the people were like, let me get away from him.
She's covering her nose, by the way.
I just was like, okay, so I just need you to sign right here, and I just need you to sign right there. Okay, and then a woman named Lauren came over and notarized the papers, and then we were done because he signed the divorce agreement. He didn't even read it. Reason why I'm pointing that out is because he didn't read the part where what's left in the house now belongs to me. Where he took technically what he was going to take. Everything else in that home belongs to me. Remember, I told y'all he had left all his Invicta watches. He had left all his WWE championship belts, his Jordans, a lot of his clothes, his Cole Haans. He had left all that stuff. He never even read the divorce agreement. So he signed it. I signed it. Lauren notarized it. We leave the store, and I said, have you eaten? And he was like, yeah, I ate. It's just, my knee. So again, he's talking about the knee, but if you saw him, you would know there's way more to it than the knee. So I said to him, look, since you met me here, let me give you some money so you can get you some chicken nuggets. Yeah, that's what I said. You can get you some chicken nuggets. So I believe I gave him like $5 or $6. Go get you some chicken. I think I Zelled it to him, actually. Just go get you some food. Then because where he parked was not far. It was like, okay, I'm parked here. He's parked in front of me in the other row. So there's that aisle that you can drive down. So I walked him to the car, and I saw the condition of the inside of the car. And that's when I knew he's been living in his car. He's been living in his car. So clearly, I no longer had a question of, so where's this offshore account? Where's the U.S. bank savings account? Where's the checking account? Didn't have that question anymore. Because if you had money, you wouldn't be living in your car. You would not be in the same clothes that you were in when you left my house on June 17th. And this is now June 25th. So he was like, I'm going to be all right. I'm about to start a new job. I'm going to be cool. I got a family member I can stay with. Everything's going to be okay. All right. I said, I will let you know when the divorce is granted. I said, I will send you a copy of the divorce decree. And he was like, okay. He said, well, how long do you think that's going to take? I said, I'm not sure. I thought I had to wait 30 days before I could file the divorce agreement settlement form. And then the judge would grant it in 30 days. So basically, this is like June 25th. I'm looking at the end of August that it would take for the divorce to be granted, assuming there were no hiccups, assuming he didn't decide he was going to pull a fast one. So I told him, I was like, I'm going to file this, and then once we get the divorce decree, I'll send you a copy. He said, okay. He got in his car. I got in my car. I drove all the way back home, and he went to wherever he went. Next part is the next series of lies that I was fixing.
Okay, no, I don't think that. I think she was being sarcastic at that point. She had already discovered that he did not play semi-pro ball. And another, he ain't gonna find no other fool. Like, she has to be. He better go to the backwoods of Georgia because she has millions of views on her videos. You have to be living under a rock to not know that this is going on. So I don't think he's gonna find another fool. Part 38.
All right, part 38 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? I'm going to call this housekeeping and missing pieces. So, housekeeping. First and foremost, as much as I know you all have enjoyed this series, and some of you have told me how entertaining you have found it, the story will be done this weekend. So, in other words, I don't care how many parts I got to film. It will be done this weekend. We're not going to drag it into the new week. So I just want to let everyone know that. So please be sure to tell your sisters, your mamas, your aunties, your cousins, your best friends. Hey, y'all, go ahead and watch all the parts because she's saying.
Okay, I'm at 2 times the speed through her little update because her updates don't give nothing.
And she's wrapping it up this weekend. Like, I'll leave the playlist up. Also, let's see. I'm sorry for people who are like, I keep talking really slow. I didn't know that I was, and they're like, you're just long-winded. I'm very detailed. So that's probably what you're feeling, is that I'm detailed, and I'm trying to get everything out, again, in a responsible manner. So you all have asked me if I will do a live. Yes, I will. I don't have any issue doing a live. I feel like you're going to put the story out there, you know you're going to get questions. So if you stand on business and you stand on what you said, do the live. So yes, I will do a live. And I will let you all know when I'm going to do a live. So it won't just be some random shit. I will actually do a live and let everyone know. So that way if you have questions, bring them. The issue with doing a live is that I need moderators. So because I just anticipate a lot of people have questions and I'm just one person. And I don't want to be accused of she's ignoring my question, which means there's holes in her story. We all know how TikTok is. So, but I will absolutely do a live. That's the housekeeping. Missing pieces. So when I said before that it's important to me that I'm responsible in how I tell the story, meaning I'm clear and I go in detail, I realized that I left out some missing parts. And it was brought to my attention by a number of you. Thank you, because I'm all for accountability. I did not go into how my ex-husband, Legion, left the condiment company and then went to Apple. I also did not go into detail on when my mom came to visit. Both of those were in the month of April. I was going to go into detail a little bit more on the Apple situation because, as you probably have figured out, of course something came out later on. But nevertheless, in terms of April of 2021, my mom came for a visit. She lived in Arkansas. She came to visit us. She came to visit us after we had that whole sexting on Facebook incident and just after we had started marital counseling. There were no fireworks during her visit. Nothing was weird. I did talk about how, my family's always been there. If you spoke with my mom, she would tell you she didn't see anything out of the ordinary. But there was something in her spirit that just didn't sit right. She didn't talk to me about it at the time. She did not raise her concerns. She simply, when she came to visit, we welcomed her with open arms. Legion was excited to meet her. She was excited to meet him. We took my mom out to eat. It was a typical, very quiet, non-active visit. I didn't know what my mother thought until later on. So she didn't share with me during the visit. Something don't seem right. She and I sat in the guest room talking. I never told her anything that was going on. Number one, because again, it goes back to that mindset of what happens in my marriage needs to stay in my marriage. And I talked about how I didn't think, looking back, it was not a good idea that I told my aunt what had happened. My aunt is not the type that's going to tell my mother. In other words, if you confide in her, she keeps it between you and her. So my mom never knew that there were any issues. And so there was nothing for her to be on mama bear mode. Had she known, this would have been a very different trip. But she didn't know. So she did come to visit. Everything went fine. He and I put on a united front. Oh, we're so happy. We're so, in love. And yes, behind the scenes was a whole different story. He talked to her about how he was looking to buy a house and how he told her how work was going, how his job, how his job was going, bragging as usual, which I did tell my mom, look, he's going to talk about himself and money a lot. So just change the subject. If he brings up a house, change the subject. That was my instructions to her because I was like, I don't even want to get into the whole house situation. So other than that, uneventful. Now, once my mom left, this is still in April, everything was fine with him at the condiment company, as far as I knew. Everything was fine. What ended up happening is he randomly came home one day and starts complaining about changes that are going on at the company. When he started complaining about those changes, it was things like, keep in mind, he is not VP of the company. He was VP of, I keep getting it wrong, but I think it was VP of production, is what the memo says. So he was not the second in command for the company. He was upset that he was being blamed for production stats, that the production was down. He was upset that his plant manager apparently had resigned. He was upset that some of the policy changes that were coming into play that would affect his plant. These are the things that he was coming home and complaining about. Literally, he would complain. He started complaining Monday. By Friday, he said, if they continue doing this, then I just need to find a job. He was like, I think I'm calling my homeboy that I work with at Apple, and I'm gonna see, what they have available. Yes, there were red flags going up. Of course there were. At this point, we're not even dealing with the United Nations of red flags. We are dealing with the Olympics. We are dealing with the parade of all nations. Everybody got red flag. So when he said that, I was kind of like, okay, because I had become numb to all the antics that he did. I was numb to it. So he literally said, I think I'm calling my homeboy, I'm supposed to Apple. My response to him was, well, what about your salary? Would you take a pay cut? He was like, no, I'm not going to take a pay cut. Like, I wouldn't leave unless it's going to be the same amount or more money. Y'all, the last week of April, I'm at work, minding my own business. He calls me and tells me I decided to resign. He what? I decided to resign. Don't worry. Don't get all crazy. I had talked to my homeboy. There is a position at Apple, and I'm on my way there now to go and meet him so that I can get some information on the position. We're married, y'all. We're married. So what I said to him was, well, will you get all this in writing? His words to me were, of course I'm going to get it in writing. I'm not stupid. You know what? I don't even want to talk to you no more. Click. That's the end of April. So that is how I was introduced to this Apple job. Again, if you stick with the series, you will find out exactly what happened. But that's how I was introduced to the Apple job. It literally was in a span of within 2 weeks. And he resigned from the condiment company and immediately said, I'm going to move over to Apple. Just wanted to clarify that. So, we will continue on. All right, part 38 of who...
All right, I'm going to keep this thing moving unless you guys have some... Did you forget it was on speed, trying to keep up? I said because it was one of her, miscellaneous updates, I was going to speed it up. Because did we really learn anything? No. If I would have just played it normal, that would have been 10 minutes of our time. And all we learned is that he moved from the condiment company to Apple. But the regular parts, I'm not going to speed through it. Okay. And now I want chicken nuggets too. I always want chicken nuggets. I'm a chicken strip kind of girl. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, part 39. And then after part 40, I can see on my computer. So then we'll switch back to part 40. We should be able to get 39, 40, possibly 41 done before I got to get out of here.
Part 39, who the fuck did I marry? Everything you're going to hear probably in this part and the next part, all of this happens in the month of July 2021. Divorce has been filed. It was filed the end of June. I got his signature on the divorce settlement agreement. I thought that I had to wait 30 days before I could actually file that with the court. And so this is kind of in the limbo period because I'm still within those 30 days. So he left a book bag at the house. Book bag that had all kind of paperwork in there. Inside the book bag.
Okay, I just paused it. Listen closely. This is a good, informative part. The bushes, get your notepad out. Get your notepads out, girl. But here we go.
This is the paperwork that I found. Number one, I found a packet from the condiment company where it showed his 401k contributions. It also stated in there that he had been terminated. So he was terminated from the condiment company according to the paperwork in the packet that I saw in the book bag that he left at my house. Also in the book bag were paycheck stubs from a previous job where he worked at a cemetery. The same cemetery that he took me to show me where his grandmother and grandfather were buried. So let's go ahead. I'll do this video and say this is what he told me. This is what I confirmed. He told me his grandmother and grandfather were buried there. He showed me a headstone with a family name on it. If you go back in previous parts, I talk about it. The truth is they are not buried there. He is of no relation to the people who are buried at that particular grave site. Only reason why he knew about it is because he had worked there. Also in the book bag, it was a copy of a driver's license that he had. The address on the driver's license, now this I still don't have an answer to, but the address on the driver's license was the same address as the cemetery. Because I looked it up on Google. Also in the book bag was paperwork from another construction company job, meaning it was paycheck stubs from another construction company here in Atlanta that he had worked for. It did not have dates on it, so I don't know when he worked for the construction company. Also in the book bag paperwork was unemployment paperwork. So it looked like he had been receiving unemployment just before I met him. I met him in March. It looked like he had been receiving unemployment January and February. So once again, let's confirm. He did not work for the condiment company for 6 to 7 years. Also in there were scraps of paper from a temp agency where it was information on the job that he had been placed at. Where was that job? The condiment company. He would be a forklift / loader is what it said. So I interpret that to mean he can drive a forklift, but he would have been loading up the 18-wheelers for them to go out to their deliveries.
Okay, I just hit pause. A little keynote about your girl just Sarah. I was loading 18 wheelers with a forklift at the age of 12. It ain't hard work. It ain't hard work. But okay.
Also in this book bag was paperwork from Clayton County courts, I believe, for a weekend. What is it called? Weekender jail. It was like a weekender jail receipt. So I had to do some research. So apparently, what that means is that there is an option where if you have a job, let's say you were sentenced to 60 days in jail, but you have a full-time job. Apparently, the court can say, okay, you'll go to jail on the weekends. So in other words, you have to report to the jail on Friday at 5 o'clock, and you'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You will get out Sunday at 6 o'clock. Apparently, that's actually a real thing. So what was in the book bag were multiple yellow receipts for...
No, Ronnie Q. That's the job that he said he was the VP. He lied. He was never the VP at the condiment company. He was a forklift driver hired by a temp agency. So he was never a VP. There was never a shift of a pay reduction because he never fucking did it.
Or different weekends that he had to report and get out of jail. Last but not least, there were some additional pictures, and then there were some. When I say pictures, I'm talking about family photos, and then there was another additional copy of his driver's license with the Douglasville address. I looked up that address. The name associated with that address was the same name as the ex-girlfriend that he had in between the ex-wife and me. If you go back to the video where I talk about the conversation I had with the ex-wife, she tells me that the address was going to come back to the ex-girlfriend. I'm simply saying that is correct. So what she told me is true. So because of everything that I found, I decided to go down a new rabbit hole. Again, just recapping what I said in previous videos. Ex-husband was always a stickler about law enforcement. His dad was a retired police officer. I'm just telling y'all the story. His dad was a retired police officer. Mom was a retired teacher. After his dad retired, they moved to Augusta, started a church. He took me to that church in Augusta. The same day that he took me to meet his aunt who lived in Augusta. So these are now things that he actually took me to, just like he took me to the cemetery. So that's what I found in the book bag. The Weekender jail receipts. I went ahead and went online to find out exactly why did he have to go to jail for the weekend. And I'm going to end this part here. The next part has to do with his criminal history.
Okay, so no, there was no company car. Now, okay. So, Ronnie Q said, "Oh, so sorry." So, I'm saying sorry to my phone, child. Like, anyway, sorry. He never had a salary job at the condiment company. Wow, no, but you have to remember, he showed her the offer or the contract or whatever it was, saying that he made like $250,000. And remember, he was going to have this assistant named David. And so she never questioned it. But he came, so he lied and said he had been at the condiment company 6 to 7 years. So really, whatever money he came in with, because he basically found that job the same month that he found her. So if he was able to pay her bills on the forklift job, long as he didn't stop paying her bills, I don't think she even noticed. So I just want to clarify that. Trying to think if there was anything else in that I wanted to clarify. Oh, so now that we know that he was not the VP, I discovered that his middle name is David, child. His middle name is fucking David. At least that's how he has it listed. He has it listed as his middle name is David. So that's where this fucking David came from, child. You can't make this shit up. I promise you can't make this shit up. All right, but why just lie? You paying the damn bills. So I don't remember if she said, I think she said it in the live, but somebody asked, if you knew the truth, would you have still dated him? And she said no, because it didn't show stability. And every woman wants stability. He got that job he had just got the job a week or two before they met. He got the job through a temp agency. Like, it didn't show stability. So had he been honest, she probably regardless if he could pay all the bills or not, she said she probably wouldn't have been with him because she wanted stability from a husband. Yes, he just, well, he has a history of lying, child. That's what it is. But okay, let's get to the next part. I'm going to go back to the computer. Part 40.
Part 40, who the fuck did I marry? So we are now at the point of July 2021. We are at the point where I've spoken to the female cousin, and she gave me the phone number for the older brother. For the purposes of this video, we're going to call him Chris. Chris was very nice. I called him. He was gracious. He was willing to answer whatever questions I had. And what he said to me was, he said, my brother has always been a liar. He's always been a liar. He said, but ask me what questions you have and I'll confirm what's real and what's not. First question I had was, when was the last time you spoke to him? Without missing a beat, Chris says, 2015, just after our mother's funeral. I explained to him about the phone calls, the fact that Legion would be on the phone for 30, 35 minutes, laughing, talking to Chris, relaying messages from Chris to me, and relaying messages from me to Chris. Without missing a beat, Chris says he was never talking to me. And he said, now I am going to say this. Maybe he was on the phone, but he was not on the phone with me. He said, because he knows that if I ever see him, I'm going to whoop his ass. And I'm laughing because obviously Legion loves to say I'm going to whoop somebody's ass. So for the people who are confused, like, wait, what does this mean about the phone calls? What this means is every single time that my ex-husband was on the phone, holding his phone like this, talking, laughing, cracking jokes. Hey, my wife said that, we could go later on this evening and all this other stuff. Every time they were doing things like that, every time he was having a phone call or conversation that he claims to be with Chris, no one is on the phone. No one's on the phone. That is what that means. So I'm on the phone with Chris. My mind is spinning. It is blowing up like a volcano. I mean, I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy because what this means is that for the past 4 or 5 months, every morning that he is having a phone call with his brother Chris, I am now understanding in real time that that phone call was completely fake. So Chris tells me maybe he was talking to somebody else, but it wasn't me. He said the only family member that Legion actually talks to, only because for some reason, I guess is they're twins, he helps him out when he needs it. Legion only calls the twin when he needs money. And the twin, according to Chris, now this is the part that might blow some minds. The twin brother, the one that is older by 20 minutes, is VP of his company, is married, drives a luxury car, and lives in like a 4 or 5 bedroom house in Nashville. So Chris is saying to me, he was like, it sounds like he took the identity of the twin and was trying to act like that's his life. And it's not. He was like, that nigga ain't never had no money, ain't never kept a job a long period of time. And he was like, and you're telling me that he claims he was VP of a company? And so he was like, did you ever see anything? Did you ever meet people like that? Like Chris, I respect the fact that he was asking me the same questions y'all are asking me. Did you ever meet any family members? And I told him, I said, I met your aunt. Well, what aunt is that? I told him her name. He said, that ain't our damn aunt. I don't know if y'all have ever dealt with people from Philly. So he was just loud. He was like, that ain't our aunt. He said, that is our mother's best friend. And I don't trust that hoe. I'm sorry. It's the way he said it that it makes me laugh. Anyway, he's like, I don't trust her. I don't trust her at all. She is not our aunt. She was our mother's best friend when our mother was living in Augusta. She's not our aunt. So then I explained to him about the other brothers. The brothers, remember, there were two half brothers from his dad. One lived in Baltimore, one lived in Augusta. Chris is on the phone saying, I don't know who them niggas are. They ain't related to us. He said, our dad never had other kids. He was like, so you mean to tell me this nigga going around telling people that our dad had kids on our mom? And I said to him, well, the way he actually put it is that the two brothers came before y'all. He was like, hell no. No. So then I explained to him about the sisters. He was like, who the hell is Shantae? And I was like, Shantae, again, I'm just telling you what I was told. Shantae is a sister that lives in Douglasville, married with 2 kids. He was like, no, we don't have a sister. Told him about Kim. He was like, Kim's not our sister. She's a cousin. And he said to me, and I know she ain't talked to him in forever in 2 days. He said, so everyone, the only people who are his family members is Chris and the twin. He's like, we got some cousins up here. I told him about Junebug. I told him about the uncle. I told him about the grandmother. And he's just sitting back like, oh my God. He said, he was like, I realize that every relationship my brother gets in, he gets worse. And it sounds like he is actually worse than what he was in the last relationship. And I thought he was talking about the ex-wife that I had spoken to. No, he had no idea there was another wife. Because again, he hasn't spoken to him since 2015. So he was like, the best thing I can say to you is this. He said, thank God you ain't have kids with him. He said, get your divorce and forget you ever met this man. And he was like, and I know how that sounds because he's my brother. He said, but if I didn't have to claim him, I wouldn't. And I said to him something that I should have probably said in this whole TikTok series. This is not someone that you forget. This is not a situation that, man, I don't even remember him. No. What I don't remember is the version of myself before I met him, because nothing so far has turned out to be true. The only thing that Chris was able to tell me is true is that, number one, yes, there is a brother in Philly, him. Yes, there is a brother in Nashville, the twin. Yes, both parents are deceased. That is what I was told from the beginning. Those pieces of information are true. The grandmother did die in 2008. He was like, no, she didn't. She definitely didn't die in 2020. I told him how I found the obituary. And so he was like, and the uncle, he said, which uncle is he talking about? Because if you guys remember, back in one of the parts, I talk about where he said his uncle was giving him advice on why he should not open up his savings account to let me see it. He would not let me see it. And so I'm telling Chris about the uncle, and he was like, that uncle been dead for years. I told him about Junebug. He said, Junebug been dead for years. And I said, Chris, he was having conversations with Junebug on the phone in front of me. He was like, it wasn't Junebug. He said, it sounds like my brother was making up the conversations. He said, he definitely was making up the conversations with me. He said, hell no, I ain't going to be on the phone at no 6 o'clock in the morning. So the conversation with Chris solidified that this is the actual family tree. And no, there were never any conversations with his brother every morning when I was getting ready to go to work. They had never talked. On to the next part. Part 41, who the fuck did I marry? So this is a continuation of my conversation with Chris, which will then lead into some other stuff. So Chris has confirmed that he has not spoken to Legion since 2015. So now we know that the phone calls that Legion was having every morning on the phone with Chris when we were, getting ready to go to work, the phone calls were fake. I demonstrated in the last video how I think how he was doing those phone calls. Because he would relay messages from me to whoever was on the phone. So Chris and I also then talked about their parents. So if you remember in the beginning, I told you from the get-go, this man was, very respectful of law enforcement because his dad was a retired Philadelphia police officer. The mom was a retired teacher. And so he had the utmost respect for law enforcement. That's what he used to always say. Because, again, there's a lot that he lied about. So I'm trying to only highlight the big things because, truthfully, it got to a point where when he would say that as a VP in his company, he had a meeting with the local sheriff. Child, we know that's a lie. So I don't even need to go into detail about that because, again, why? So I told Chris what Legion said about their dad being a retired police officer. And I was explaining how he said the mom was a retired teacher. So Chris listened. Again, very gracious, very nice guy. He listened and he was like, so are you ready for me to tell you what's true and what's not? And at this point, I was already convinced I was going to be drinking heavily that night after this phone call. So I was like, go ahead. All right. So here's what Legion said. Legion said, my dad was a retired police officer with Philadelphia PD. When he retired, he and my mom moved to Augusta. I was there for high school, and they started a church. He took me to that church in Augusta and showed me where the church that they started. The truth. Dad, according to Chris, their dad was nowhere near the church. That man ain't go to church on Easter. He ain't go to church on Christmas. He was like, my dad he ain't stepped foot in the church since the day he got married. That was the last time he went to church. He didn't have nothing to do with church. He said that their father was the furthest thing from a pastor. And he was like, I love my dad, but that man drank, smoked, and he was not a pastor. The mom was not a retired teacher. She did substitute teach at one point, but she was not a retired teacher. The dad was a truck driver. And not only was the dad a truck driver, at one point, he was a correctional officer. And so I said to Chris, I was like, I said I had no idea, of course. I had no idea. So now we know the truth. The dad was never in law enforcement. And I'm not knocking correction officers. I want to make very clear, because I know that sometimes people that work in law enforcement feel like, look, when I'm out there patrolling, that is not the same as being a correction officer. And correction officers may feel the same. So I just want to give the distinction between the two. So the dad at one point was a correction officer. However, his primary career was a truck driver. And so the dad would do long hauls. So Chris is explaining, no, he was like, now that's funny. He said, if you knew our dad, you would understand how funny that is to even insinuate that he was a pastor. And so I told him about the church that we went to. He was like, oh, okay. So he took you to a church in Augusta and told you that was our parents' church. He was like, now, our mom used to go to church, every now and then. But he said, our dad ain't been to church since the day he married mom. So the church that Legion took me to and said that his parents started that church, that was not true. So he just took me on a field trip for nothing, basically. So I told him about the weekend, because I did tell Chris where I worked. And that is when Chris said to me, because at the time I worked in a law enforcement agency. And he said to me, now how does that work? He said, because Legion, he done been in trouble a few times. And I was like, what do you mean? Because I had not yet gone online into the court system to see what type of trouble he's been in. And so he explained to me, he was like, just run his criminal history and you'll see it for yourself. He said, because I don't know all the charges, but run his criminal history. I said, okay. He gave me some homework. I'll run his criminal history. So again, he cleared up a lot of stuff in regards to the family dynamics. He did explain to me that, yes, he does have a daughter. He and his ex-wife are divorced. And I said, well, Legion would talk about the niece, meaning Chris's daughter, and would send her stuff for her birthday. And he was like, he said, I'm almost positive my brother never sent anything for my daughter's birthday. And I explained to him, I said, isn't your daughter's name Egypt? He said, no. Who the hell is Egypt? And I said, I was told that was your daughter's name. That's the reason why I'm saying the name on here, because obviously we're about to confirm that's not the daughter. So I said, I was told that's your daughter's name. I said, I went with him to Rack Room Shoes and bought shoes for what I was told was your daughter. And she lived in St. Louis with your ex-wife. He said, no. He said, my daughter and my ex-wife do not live in St. Louis. He said, I don't know who Egypt is. He was like, are you sure it wasn't for a woman? And I said, well, it was kids' shoes. And he was like, no. He said, and I told him, I said, I went to the UPS store, I mailed it, and it, they printed the label with the girl's name on it. And I'm thinking this whole time it's Legion's niece. Chris is like, I don't know who that is. That's not even the name of one of our cousins. So I have no idea, ladies and gentlemen, who my ex-husband was buying girl shoes for and had me sending them, telling me it's for his niece. I have no idea. So Chris is like, yeah, he finally said to me the same thing the ex-wife said, which is pretty much whatever he told you is a lie. And I'm being honest with you guys. It is very hard to comprehend that everything is a lie. Like, there has to be something that's true. I'm like, how was he paying? If he wasn't working at the condiment company, or he got fired from the condiment company, how was he still paying the bills? Keep in mind, we never joined our accounts. He wanted to, but we never did, because he wouldn't show me the offshore, the savings account, which of course never existed. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, I know that I saw his checking account. I know that I saw his savings account, and he had money in there. Something had to be true. Something had to be true. And Chris was like, no. He said, it sounds like everything my brother said, everything that he told you was made up. He said, those phone calls were definitely made up. He said, I don't know who Egypt is. That's not any family member of ours. I don't know who Shantae is. We don't have a sister. He said, we don't have half brothers. He was like, I'm telling you who the family members are. He said, I am so sorry that my brother put you through this. So now let's go into the next part.
Okay, so that was part 41. We are going to end it here. We will come back this evening and knock out the last 9 parts, get into some of the other stuff that I found, and all that good stuff. So let's take a pause, and I will see you in a few hours. I hope you all have a blessed rest of your afternoon. Make sure you hit the like button, share if you care, and I'll see y'all soon. Bye.